Hi guys. I'm back tonight. I was actually kind of messing around out here in the shop, and yeah, lights on. And such a glare. But anyways, I'm out here in the shop, and I'm working on the saw again, which I'm gonna actually knock over. And yeah, that's the thing we're gonna work on next. Is I managed to cut off a piece of plywood. I had a piece of leftover plywood from a job that we were working on, and like I said, I'm not going to do anything too fancy with this. I'm gonna mount this thing on here, and I actually dug out an electric motor for it too. So we're gonna mount the saw on here, and then we're probably gonna clean this motor up and paint it the same color, same gray color as the saw was. And we're going to mount everything on this board. This board is, you know what, let me grab a tape measure. Okay, I'm back. This piece of plywood is 7 inches wide. It's a little wider than the original base was that I took off that machine. And it is 20 inches long. I'm not sure if it's going to be long enough. I'm going to actually kind of lay it out on my workbench and set everything up and just kind of mock set the motor up, and then see what kind of belt I would actually need to put on there, and then hopefully I can find a belt that'll match it. So let me turn this camera around and set it up on my workbench over here. Okay guys, so here it is sitting on the plywood. I'm going to go ahead and router the plywood and make it kind of pretty yet. But I just wanted to set it on here and make sure this was going to be okay. And this is if it's sitting like this, it's about a 30-inch belt, so that should work out okay. I have some adjustment in here. I can adjust it back and forth, and I'll probably get the belt before I actually screw anything down, so I can kind of reset this thing up the way I want it. I want to try to find a bigger pulley for here too. I'd like to go with one about twice the size of this one, just to make this sander go a little bit faster. Because I know on my other bell saw, I have a Foley bell saw, which is right here, and if you look down here, this pulley is only about half the size of this pulley in the back that's on the motor, and it seems to run pretty good. Actually, if I could get this thing to run a little bit faster, I would be happy, but I don't think it was intended for that, so we're not going to do that. So this one here is going to be basically the same saw. The only thing is that I'm going to have it mounted on this plate, and this is kind of a temporary thing for me, because I like I told you guys, I'd like to set it up on a stand, but there's no sense in doing it right now if we're planning on moving. So the whole idea is to just sort of set it up so that I can kind of make it a benchtop setup for now. The motor itself runs. I already plugged it in and checked it. It's an older motor that I had. It's got this dinky-assed lamp cord that was set up for it. And I always keep old extension cords around, so I had already cut a piece of cord off and went ahead and put a plug in one end. And I did this, and I got to thinking that I'm going to do something different with this. I'm either going to wire this in the way it is, and then plug it into a some kind of on-off type setup, or I'm gonna cut this somewhere in between and wire a toggle into this. You know, like put a box on here, like maybe put a toggle box right here on this side, and then that way I can just flip on the toggle switch and get power without ever having to unplug this. I don't want to have to plug this in and every time you plug it in, everything starts automatically, because you always end up getting a spark, and I don't like that. I do have some of my plugs set up on the workbench where I could plug this in and then flip a switch on above the workbench and it'll come on too. So that's an option. I got lots of options when it comes to wiring this thing, so haven't quite decided there, but you know, got lots of wire to put this together with, so it's not a big deal. This is like 12 gauge wire, so it's pretty good stuff. It'll work fine for this machine. So that's where we're at. I think we're going to go ahead and I'm going to set this off here for now. And we're going to go ahead and router this thing around the edges. We're going to work on getting this motor painted up a little bit and looking nice and pretty too. So I need to actually degrease it first though. So that'll probably be the next project, degrease this motor. So to router this thing, it's a pretty easy setup. When I router stuff, I got this piece of cloth here. It's stuff you put in cupboards. It's supposed to keep things from slipping and sliding. Well, it turns out that it works really good if you set something that you're going to router on top of it, because it won't slip and slide across your workbench. So that's what we're going to do here. And then you can push on this thing and it's not going nowhere. It's a pretty cool idea. And it wasn't my idea, it was my dad's. So I can't even take the credit for that one. So, and I believe I have this set up pretty decent already. So let's take a look at it and see what we got going on. Okay, that's about all I wanted to do there. I just wanted to knock the corners of that off. Could have did that by hand with a plane, but this is just as easy. So I'll get a sanding block, kind of hit that really quick, and that's about it. That's all I want to do. I might throw a quick coat of stain on it, but not a big deal. So let me pause that. Okay, guys, I'm back. Get this thing up a little bit. Back it off. You can actually see me. Okay, so I got a little bit of red oak stain here. And I'm just gonna put it on a rag and just kind of give this a coat. I'm just doing it to add a little color. It's not necessary, but you know, like I said, I'm just doing it to add a little bit of color to it. I'm not even sure what color this will end up being. Like I said, it's just plywood. It's not anything fancy. I was going to use a piece of cherry for this, and I decided not to, because if I did decide to grind steel on it, it would probably just mess it up anyways eventually. So, and we're not trying to make something too awful fancy here. You're just, but we'll try to make it look kind of nice as we're working on it. This will at least make the grain pop out and give it some nice color. And it's not anything fancy. This thing had a couple nail holes in it and some staples in it. Like I said, this was kind of reclaimed from a job that we did. We actually tore some floor out that was rotten, and some of this plywood was actually rotten, and we tore out the whole floor, and whatever plywood was halfway decent, I just kind of put it away. In fact, that's what I made most of my workbenches out of in here in the garage, was plywood that came from a job that we tore it out of. Bad part was it had a bunch of mold and stuff on it, so I had to take it outside and coat everything down in bleach and just kind of sanitize it all. And then I left it all dry out real good, and I brought it in here and made workbenches out of it. And they worked out pretty good for me. I got, I don't know, 20 feet of workbench in here, so, you know. And some of it was wood from other jobs too. Being in the carpentry business, we sometimes we run into a lot of this and a lot of that. I remember one time I was at a job and the guy had all kinds of odds and end pieces of plywood and stuff in his garage. He was cleaning his garage out while we were working at his house, and he was like, "Here, take it. I just want it out of my garage." So, you know, we don't pass too much of that stuff up, because if I don't use it on another job, I can always use it here at the house. So, anyways, let me go ahead and finish doing this, and I'll get back with you. Okay, so the board's all done. It's all stained, and that's about all the farther I'm going to go with that. I could clear coat it and all that stuff, but I'm not getting into that. Like I said, it's kind of a temporary thing. I'm just doing it to have a place to mount this stuff for right now. So the next thing we could do is put the sander on here. Kind of where we want it. I want it 5/8 off the edge, approximately. That's close. And I could actually mark these 4 holes and go ahead and find some screws to put in there. And then the motor itself will get mounted back here, and that'll leave me with a, like I said, around a 30-inch belt. And I won't mount the motor yet because I want to make sure I get the belt that's, and then I can mount the motor to make it fit. I mean, if I get a 28-inch belt, I can always mount the motor a little bit closer. So that's why I'm not going to do that. And chances are I will probably try to find a belt that I have somewhere and just reuse it. It doesn't turn that many RPM, so I don't need a real fancy brand new belt. But we'll see what we come up with. But that's not going to be tonight for sure, because I'm Not sure what I have. So let me go ahead and I will get a pencil or a punch and we'll mark all 4 of these and we'll try to find some screws for them. Okay, so we're in luck. I marked these couple here. I need to mark the 2 front ones with a pencil, but I went through my junk drawer of old screws and stuff and have managed to find a small amount of brass wood screws, so that'll work out good. I mean, they're old-fashioned flat-headed brass ones, but that's okay because I can go ahead and sort of mount these in here. I think I will pre-drill all these holes just a little bit with the cordless drill, just so they start in nice and easy and don't split. So let me find something to mark these 2 front holes in. I was marking them with this awl, but and actually I could probably do that. You have to take the table off to get this thing to, you know what, I'll just get a shorter awl. I have another awl around here somewhere that's shorter. Let me go ahead and find a different awl and I'll get back with you. Okay, so I have them marked. I ended up using a little short nail to mark these things, and I have them marked, and what I'm doing is I'm just putting a really small fine drill in here, and I'm just going to use it just to put a little bit of a pilot hole in there. And that'll just keep things from splitting more than anything. And I'm not even going that deep, only half an inch or so into the board. Actually, I went a little farther into the board on that one. But anyways, not a big deal. So then we will take this and set it back on here. And try to line these holes up. We'll take our flat-headed screws and try to at least get them all started. It shouldn't be that hard to do. Just like so. So let me go ahead and get all these started and I'll be back. Okay, so we got this thing mounted. It's on there. It's got 4 brass screws in it. That worked out really good. With the motor, I think I'm just going to use regular bolts for it, like small wood lags of some sort. But this will work out nice. They're flat-headed screws, brass screws. They look like they're supposed to be there, even though that maybe that's probably. Although I did take flat-headed screws out of the last ones too, so you know, we'll see how it works. You couldn't put much of a bigger screw than that in it, anyways, because the holes in the bottom of this weren't any bigger. So I guess it is what it is, and these should work just fine. Yeah. So let me go ahead and turn this camera out and we'll clean up that motor. Okay guys, I'm back. So I got this motor here, and I went ahead and unplugged the cord. It just has a couple of those little clips inside there that you just plug the cord into. It also has bolts and nuts coming out too, so I'll probably not use these clips next time. I'll probably end up just although these were tight, so I don't know, we'll see. But I don't want to have to worry about that thing coming loose. So this cord is basically junk as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to keep it at all. It's all just going to go in the trash. It's not something that I'm ever going to use on anything. It's way too light for what I want, so it goes in the trash can. So I took the cover off this thing, but I'm going to go ahead and put it back on, just because I do not want to get any paint in this when we do go to paint it. Yeah, we'll probably tape this off. We may, you know what, we might. Let's see. We might tape this off too. It's got a little sticker on it just with the wiring diagram on it. Or you know what? We'll put that on the inside. Then I won't have to worry about it today. In fact, maybe it was on the inside. It probably was. Yeah, we'll just do that. Turn that around, put that on the inside. And then we'll tape this off. I'll probably tape the little C off. Just because I can. And we'll paint it. But first we got to clean this thing up. It's seriously dirty. I got to tighten up those 2 screws. Just snugly them up so the cover doesn't come loose. Fancy dancy little screwdrivers for getting in tight little spots. That's the only thing I use these for. Went to a swap meet one year and some guy was selling these little things. They are handy. Sometimes they don't last very long, but they are handy little things. So anyways, so let me lay a towel out over here and get this thing ready to start scrubbing it. Okay, so basically the same thing as the machine. We got machine sitting here on top of towel. I got my little toothbrush and little wire brush and a little cup of thinner, and we're basically just gonna scrub this thing down. We're just trying to get rid of all the dirt and grease, paint, or dirt, grease, just the dirt and the grease off this thing, so that way we can so it'll hold paint more than anything. So we'll just kind of close. The only thing we can't do with this one is we can't take it outside and hose it off. So we'll just scrub it up the best we can, and then we'll end up taking it and just wiping it down again, because we don't want to drown this thing in water. That's for sure. But I'm only doing this for looks anyway, so it's not that big a deal. And once we get this done, before we even decide to turn it on, we will let this thing sit for a good day or so, because you are wiping this down with thinner, and the inside of this motor does spark, so you don't want to catch the motor on fire. But this thinner is pretty good stuff. It breaks the grease up pretty quick. And after we get all the grease off, it'll be ready for paint. So let me go ahead and do this for a little bit, and I'll get back with you. Okay, so here we go. It's not half bad. It's actually cleaned up pretty well. I tell you what, I'm not even sure if I'm going to paint it. Yeah, I think we will paint it. We'll go ahead and paint it that machine gray and call this thing done. So okay, let me I'm gonna let this sit for half an hour or so, just to dry out real good, and then we'll go ahead and throw a coat of gray paint on this thing. We'll touch up, clean up here. But yeah, okay, so let me go ahead and just let this sit for a few minutes. Okay guys, so I got this thing all taped off. I taped off the pulley. I taped off that tag in the back. And I think we got a little tape right there that needs to come off. Anyways, it's all taped off. I'm just sitting here shaking the can. I'm going to let this thing dry a little bit more. And I'll paint this bottom part and then leave it dry. And then I'll flip it over and paint the rest of it. I don't think I'm going to show the whole painting. It's just painting. So I'll just go ahead and do that and show you what it looks like when it's all done. Okay guys, I'm back. Try this a little bit. This thing's all painted up. I went ahead and I already peeled the green tape off the tag while the paint was still a little damp. It's kind of the best way to do it, and anyways, but that's done. I still got tape on the pulley. I'm not even gonna mess with that though until this thing dries. I'm just gonna leave it dry for the rest of the night, and we'll take care of the rest of it tomorrow morning. So we're gonna go ahead and end the video there. If you like the video, like, share, subscribe. This is kind of a short video, but I think the next video is we're going to set this motor up on the board too and try to find a belt for it, and sort of set everything up and mount the motor, and then we'll actually have a usable belt sander. I really don't need to make the brass rods yet or the wooden pulleys, but we'll do a video on that. Not sure when, but it'll be another part to this. And then that machine will be done. We'll have a perfectly good little belt sander, or extra belt sander or whatever. But anyways, I just want to say thank you. Like, share, subscribe. If you like the videos, keep watching. And thank you again.